everybody, it's me, Miss Blanc. Just going to do a quick 1, 2, 3 video on your definitions. So, because you can't answer the explanation questions without knowing your definitions. So the first definition we're going to look at are corresponding angles. So corresponding angles, so these are corresponding. I like to think of them as being in the same place. So I don't want to think of outside, inside. I just think of same place. So this angle is on the top left. And this angle, if we were looking at these four corners, so if we're looking at four corners, this is also on the top left. So top left, corresponding. Corresponding angles are going to have the same measurement. So if this is 110, this is 110. So if you had a question that said, okay, if, let's call these 1 and 3. If the measure of angle 1 was congruent to the measure of angle 3, what could you say about lines X and Y, right? Then you could say that X is parallel, and you can use this symbol, to Y because angle 1 and angle 3 are corresponding angles. Very quick explanation. Don't have to write more than that. And also, if they were to tell you that, let's say if we go over here, if a question says, if the measure of angle 2 equals 70, what is the measure of angle, let's call this 4, you would have to say not enough info to determine if, the measure of angle 4, because we do not know if X and Y are parallel. How do you know if lines are parallel? Because you would see an arrow, like a really big arrow here. Or if you didn't see an arrow, they would say somewhere in the question, X is parallel to Y. But because they didn't do that, that's how you would have to answer the question. Okay? I'm going to show you another example of how the question would look different for different angles. All right. The next angles that we're going to look at, and these are the angles that help you determine if lines are parallel. These are called alternate, bad spelling, alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles are all on the inside of these lines. And we have one on the left and one on the right. That's why they're alternate on different sides. And this value, if this was 70, would be congruent or equal to this value. Okay? Now if we look here, these are called alternate exterior angles. Again, we have one on the right, one on the left, so they're in different spots. If this was 100, this would be 100. And they are on the outside. Notice that when I color this area in, it's away from these two lines, so it's on the outside. Nowhere here did I indicate that these lines are parallel. So if I call these lines S and T, and we're looking at this, if I said and we'll call this 2 and 3. And we'll call this 4 and 5. So if they said if the measure of 2 is congruent to the measure of 3, what do we know about x and y? You would say that x is parallel to y because angle 2 and angle 3 are alternate interior angles. Why am I allowed to say that? Because alternate interior angles are equal to each other. They're congruent. And because they are congruent, if a statement says that the measures of the angles are congruent, then I can say that the lines are parallel. Now, if we flip it to this side and the question looks like this, so if it says if the measure of angle 4 does not equal the measure of angle 5, what do we know about x and y? Well, these are alternate exterior angles. They're supposed to be congruent. And because this question says that they're not congruent, you would say x is not parallel to y because angle 4 and 5 are alternate exterior angles and should be congruent. Okay, sorry it's so sloppy. It's hard to write and hold a phone at the same time. So you can see how you answer these questions. If they say they're congruent, then you can use the definition as your reason for why these lines are parallel. If they're not congruent, you can use your vocab as a reason why they're not parallel. Now, if the question looks like this, and we'll call this 7, and we'll call this 8. So if they say, if the measure of angle 7 equals 170 degrees, and, check for this and, S is parallel to T. Wait a minute. Sorry I used X and Y here. Oops. It was supposed to be S and T. So if you guys are watching this video, change the X and Y to S and T, because I forgot that I changed the names of the lines to S and T. All right, so if the question says the measure of angle 70 is 170 and S is parallel to T, watch for this. Once they tell you that the lines are parallel, once they give you that extra piece of information, because everywhere else we did not know it was parallel, once they give you this information, I mean, if I had a highlighter, I would highlight it if I were you. Once you see that information on the question, right? Then they would say, what is the measure of angle 8, right? You would be able to say that the measure of angle 8 equals 70 degrees, 170, because angle 7 and 8 are alternate interior angles, and S is parallel to T. This is the only time that you can give an answer for the missing angle. They have to tell you this information. If they don't tell you this information, you have to say not enough information, like we did on the last question. Okay, so I know I went fast through this, but the beauty of the video is you can always rewind. Okay, the last two, I know this was supposed to be quick. Are what we call same side interior and same side exterior. So same side interior. The definition is in the words. They're on the inside of the parallel lines and they're on the same side. They're both on the left. See? Left, left. And this is same side exterior. Again, they're on the same side. They're on the outside. And they're both on the right. So we know both of these are supplementary. Double S's, same side, supplementary. Same side, supplementary. Okay? So I'm not going to go over how to do the explanation questions because we did that with the alternate interior, alternate exterior. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some algebra to this. Okay, so I'm going to say that number 1 here is x plus 70. Okay, and number 2 is 2x plus 10. Okay, so these are my two angles, and I want to know what's the value of x and what's the value of y, which is right next to it. Okay, so I know that x plus 70 and 2x plus 10 are all same side interior, which means they're supplementary, which means supplementary means add up to 180. So right here, this should tell you, you're going to add it up to 180. So we're going to take this information, x plus 70 and 2x plus 10, and we're going to add them up. And when we add them up, we make them equal to 180. Why did I do that? Because they're not equal to each other. These are not the same. They're supplementary. So I have to add this one and this one together to get 180. Now I'm probably going to get a decimal here. Sorry. So these two together are 3x. And these two together are 80. And you set them equal to 180. Then you do a nice little two-step equation. And I know I'm going to get a decimal. I don't think you get a decimal tomorrow, so I think you'll be okay. Okay, so x would be 33.3 because we combined our like terms and solve for x. So now we have a y to worry about. The y is alternate interior. If you look here, it's alternate interior to this side. So I can say that y is equal to 2x plus 10. Because these are alternate interior, that means they're the same. These were same side interior, which means they were supplementary. So now what I can do is to solve for y, I'm going to take the value that I had for x and plug it in. And then you can just use your calculator for this. You don't really need to do this in your head. And when you put it all in the calculator, you get 76.6. Again, you're probably not going to have a decimal tomorrow, but that's how you could solve it. Alright, and then same side interior, you do the same thing. These always have to add up to 180. So if they asked you, what do we know about angle 3 and angle 4, you could say they are same side exterior and they are supplementary. All right, so this video was 15 minutes. Sorry it was longer than I wanted, but this is your nice little intro video for vocab. The next video will go over your homework. That's right. If you watch the homework video, oops. If you watch the homework video, that was embarrassing. You'll have all your answers for the homework and you will get 100% on homework. If you watch this video and the next video, please check done on your Google Classroom. Thank you.